Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ema. Hey, Ema.
Hey, my sweetest.
All right. So I went ahead and I took that audio reel of yours that was laying in my house for like the past, 50 years, I would say, 1960, 1972. So that would be 50 years actually on the dot.
Don't rub it in.
Whatever. No big deal. The audio reel that you had for your junior recital as soprano in Towson University, originally called Towson State College. I took the audio, I tried to fix it up as best I could, and I put it up on the YouTube channel. So in case anyone's interested, they can easily listen to it. And you chose different artists, and these were artists that you felt were the most pretty, I would say, the most interesting, something that would grab attention to you and to the people that are listening to you. What would you say your musical style is, or your musical interest is, when it comes to these artists that you chose?
Ooh, that was a ball out of that was certainly
Left
a
part.
curveball.
Yeah, no worries, it's fine.
I think I chose those particular composers because the music was pretty. I liked them. I felt that also probably, and then you brought up a very interesting point that I probably had in the back of my mind, was that my musical acumen was best shown through their pieces.
Okay.
Like my range and the quality of my voice. But like I say, the main reason I chose those composers was because, like I said, I enjoyed singing these pieces. They were they're very pretty. I think I chose them on my. I'm trying to remember how I chose them. I chose them pretty much on my own. Of course, I showed them, to my voice teacher, and she approved. And she also, I'm sure she gave her input about the pieces she felt would best, show off my vocal talent.
Yeah. I mean,
Actually, it's a very interesting story behind that. Actually, originally, I was supposed to give that recital actually a month before.
Oh, wow.
And I scheduled it for Friday night. And my accompanist was a different accompanist. And when I told my mother when I scheduled my recital for, she says to me, Friday night, Shabbos. No, we weren't religious. I said, oh, Ma, come on, we're not religious. It's okay. Well, the day before I was supposed to perform, I lost my voice totally.
Oh, wow.
Remember, I told you that every now and then, especially around early spring, which was when this recital was scheduled for some reason, I would get this horrible bout of laryngitis. I went to a throat specialist, and he said my entire glottis, the glottis is what we refer to as the vocal cords. And he said my glottis, he says my whole throat was just totally swollen. He doesn't know why. Looks like I might be allergic to something. And he told me what I have to do. He says, you can't talk at all, nothing, for an entire week until you see me next week. Not even hello, nothing. You need to talk to somebody, you write it down. And to make matters worse, my accompanist calls me. He goes, guess what? He goes, I was cleaning my apartment, and there was this big glass mirror that I had in my living room. I was wiping the space around it, and the whole mirror fell off and broke and smashed on my hand.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going to the emergency room now.
Oh, gosh.
So the next day, I come into the library, and most of the music students used to enjoy being in the music section of the library. We would, put on, you put on records, and you put on earphones, and you sit in the music section, with your earphones, listening to some nice piece of music while you're, doing other things. Maybe you're doing like your sociology assignment, whatever other assignment you have. And I come in, and he's sitting there, and his hand is all banded.
Oh, gosh.
He plays piano, and he's got no hand. I come in, and I get and I have no voice. And the music students are looking at us and they know what happened and they are laughing hysterically. And I sit next to him and he turns around, he looks at me, he goes, "Get away from me, you jinx. You're the reason this is all happening." So anyway, I had to wait for an entire month. By that time, my original accompanist, his name was Bob, could not accompany me. It was the end of the year. He had to leave. He had to go away on something. It's like, this is like already, like almost, it's like days before the end of the year, of the school year. And so this time, I got another accompanist, and he was really nice. He stepped in. He picked up the ball. Very, very gifted pianist. He could, one of these guys who could play anything thrown in front of him. And this time I scheduled it for Thursday night. And this time everything came off well, and my whole family came. And this time
Oh,
it
totally a
went very
shaka
nice.
practice. I love it.
Yes.
I love the shaka practice stories. So what was your family and your accompaniment and your teacher's reaction to the pieces?
Very positive. Very, very positive. It was almost like a graduation ceremony of sorts.
Okay.
It was like a celebration. It came off very well. My voice teacher took a picture of me afterwards in my gown. I was wearing this beautiful long turquoise gown. I told you before, it was the same gown I wore for Aunt Anne's wedding. I was the maid of honor for a wedding.
Nice.
It was this lovely long, you've seen pictures of it, very beautiful long turquoise gown, which I can't fit into now.
Nah, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Size 10, which I'm not anymore. But anyway.
It's okay.
So, and she took a very pretty picture of me. I forgot where it is. And like I said, the reaction was very, very positive. My voice teacher thought it came off very beautifully.
So,
in fact, she said to me one time, she said to me that I should never stop singing.
mm-hmm.
She says, "You make a lot of people happy when you sing." She goes, "You should never stop singing."
Oh, that reminds me. So I was talking to somebody and we were talking about brushing teeth for some odd reason, and brushing teeth when we were kids and what our parents would do. And I told them about your hippopotamus song to help me brush my teeth. And they thought it was the most adorable, funniest thing ever.
Because it got you guys to open up your mouth.
Yeah,
wide, so I could get in there and brush the incisors and the what do they call them, the molars,
the teeth,
the
molars, whatever. Yeah, it was like it goes. The hippopotamus smiles and says, "Ah." The hippopotamus smiles and says, "Ah." I think that's what it is. I'm not sure.
Hi. It's when the hippopotamus smiles, he says, "Hi."
Oh, that's how it is. That's
hi.
what it was. Yeah, because I was explaining it to them. Yeah.
When I took one time when you were a little boy, I took you to Baltimore Zoo, and we were by the pygmy hippos.
Yeah.
The pygmy hippos are cute. If anybody's ever seen them, they're a small species of hippopotamus.
Oh wow.
And they're really cute. They're small. They're little. I don't know how tall they stand. They don't stand that tall. And when the hippopotamus saw you, he opened up his mouth like this, like real wide. And so when you came home, you told everybody that the hippopotamus said hi.
By the way, we can always hear you clinking the tea as an audio, just a side reference. So what about preserving your vocal cords? If someone wants to like preserve their vocal cords, if they're practicing and whatnot, like, and how long should they practice?
Okay, voice really should not be practiced more than anywhere between a half an hour to 45 minutes, I would say a day. And I learned that the hard way when I was determined to learn my music, and I was practicing 2 hours each day, and I got laryngitis. And my vocal teacher asked me, "How did I get laryngitis?" And I told her I was practicing 2 hours each day. She goes, "You can't do that." So it's only a half an hour to 45 minutes a day. Because she explained to me how the glottis is so, it's delicate, very delicate. It's not it's not like a violin or something. As a matter of fact, it's interesting you should mention something. I forgot where I heard this. Somebody, I think it was the violinist I was talking to, we were discussing basic rules for how long instruments or could be practiced. And we said voice, no more than a half an hour to 45 minutes a day. Would you believe he said violin should be practiced no more than maybe 2 to 3 hours at the most? Because he said if you try to practice it any more than that, um, you can mess up your wrists and your shoulders.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize that. Piano, however, piano can be practiced 8 hours a day, and I've done that. When I was in college, there were occasions when we had in the music department for your performing arts, you didn't have formal written exams, of course, for final exams. You had to perform in front of a panel of faculty members that taught your instrument, or that were vocal teachers if you were in voice, and they were called juries, and you had to perform for them, and you were evaluated. You were evaluated on how well you performed. So I remember around the time that I had juries for piano, I remember there were times we wake up in the morning, get my coffee, go over to the piano, put my coffee on the piano, and that's where I was I took a little break for maybe lunch or something, but that's where I was from 9 to 5.
I mean, I did that for college for architecture. Like I was in class from, well, not just class, but like studio from, I would say, 10 in the morning to 1 o'clock at night.
Oh my
On
gosh. Ooh.
on Sundays, I would get in at 10, leave at 1.
Mm.
And throughout the week, I would put in maybe like a 10, 11, maybe 12-hour day. But
Wow.
that came in with a lot of practice, because growing up and going to Jewish schools, you know, it's kind of a more of like, you have to wake up, be in school by 7:30, and you don't leave till about 8:15 at night.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in 9th grade. And that was an easy school, because Yosef and Yehuda, they went to ones that didn't end till 10 o'clock at night and started at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So you really get, being in Jewish private schools, you really get the practice of working hard, like legit working hard. I remember actually as a kid, I'd hear some other students. I'm not gonna toot my horn and say, oh, not me, but like I heard them, so it kind of affected me, where they go to the rabbi and being like, well, I don't want to daven, I don't want to go pray, I don't want to, learn this anymore, I don't want to. And it's like, and they all looked at them and be like, you can want whatever you want, but you have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Prayer and wanting are two different things.
Mm.
It's an obligation that you have to do. So go ahead and complain all you want. You're not gonna get you anywhere. And like that mentality really like affected me, where it's like, it doesn't matter what I want, it matters what I need to do. And that level of discipline. But it's always kind of odd, because like, I know you put in so much work into college, and I put a lot of work into my college experience in academic wise.
Mm-hmm.
But like, for you, like, I would think if I was an outsider watching you in college, I would expect you to be, some concert pianist or concert vocalist by now, that's like retired with like tons of awards. Just coming from the audio that I heard was beautiful, and hearing other stories from your sisters, and seeing you over the years as my mother, like, you have so much talent. In a way, I feel like it's like a waste. Like, you like, what was the effort for? What did you accomplish out of that when it came to, looking at your life, if you put so much effort into this college degree of academia?
Sometimes I think about that, and I think about the way that I used my knowledge. And, success isn't always measured in fame or money or awards. Success can also be measured in how you've used your talents on a personal level with your own family. Like when your father a couple times mentioned to me about where have you sung? Where have you used your talents? And I tell him, I have sung for the most amazing audiences, all 10 of them.
Aww.
When I raised using my vocal technique to sing to you children, the songs I made up for you, the stories I made up for you,
Yeah.
The my students, my piano, my voice students, my violin students, and a lot of the parents, a lot of the parents of the children I've taught have told me what a wonderful experience it's been for their children, because in the frum world, you don't get, occasionally you get, people who have degrees in music and really know what they're doing, but it's not the norm. And a lot of parents have told me it's been really wonderful for their kids to be able to study with somebody who has actual training in music. I mean, I teach my students how to pick out nigunim on the violin or pick out the notes to nigunim on the piano. I have a lot of frum girls like, they get together, they sing. A lot of the girls Jewish schools have their own choirs and their own performance groups. And these girls are really happy to be able to study with someone who can teach them real singing technique instead of them just, trying to sing and trying to sound as best they can.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. What was so great with the Bal Tshuva movement, it brought in a kosher filter of great academic works and practices and methods. Because no offense to a lot of frum Yidden, but they kind of do it this way. They handle, to give an example, what are Jews good at, right? Debating and talking and arguing.
Well, what was psychology? I was thinking about psychology because whenever I've met like a young Jewish person, particularly girls, seem to be psychology to be very popular for girls, like young Jewish girls. And I'll say, "Oh, what are you getting your degree in?" They'll say psychology, and I'll say to them, "Oh, you mean Jewish studies?"
So yeah, okay. So adding to that point, by the way, so Jews do really good in debate. The question is why? The answer is because they don't follow the standard rules of debate. There's regulations, there's concepts, there's methods of understanding. And I think that, it's a back and forth of like how many of these rules are that important? How many of these musical rules and musical methods, how much is that important? And my main point I was trying to say is a lot of the frum methods is very unconventional. And it's a double-edged sword. It helps us and hurts us at the same time. I've seen a lot of frum Yidden doing great at business, but the social cues are just out the window.
I'm sure that's a Jewish thing, because I'm sure I'm sure there are many of non-Jews that, when it comes to social cues, have the same challenges.
Okay, fine. So let me reframe this then. I think I guess you're right at this point. What I'm trying to say is something that like I feel a lot of Yidden want to say, and I'm trying to put this into the right terms and right words. It's like our method doesn't work, or it doesn't work as well as a non-Jewish method, and we should practice non-Jewish methods more than our Jewish methods. And
The Rebbe, well, a couple of things. The Rebbe, I wanted to go back a little bit.
okay.
When I was in Crown Heights, and that was when that particular year, 1974, was when a whole onslaught, a whole migration of Bali Tshuva hit Crown Heights. Like, it was never seen before in history. You're talking about hundreds of Bali Tshuva hitting that neighborhood all at the same time. That's September of 74. And the Rebbe at a Fabringen was talking about this entire huge population of Bali Tshuva. And he said that these Bali Tshuva that are coming in now are going to bring talents and skills to the Frum community that are really going to help us a lot. What you said about, like just now about, I guess you want to call it like social skills, whatever. The Rebbe addressed that a few times. The Rebbe told a story at one of the Fabringas about a man who came to him and he wanted his son to leave yeshiva and go to, regular college. In those days, the only Jewish college around was Yeshiva University, and that was it. And
or
Stern,
Nerdy Stroll.
right? Well, and that's even near Stroll in those days was not considered did not have like a college, offer a college degree in those days.
Oh, really?
Was until later. And so the man, so the Rebbe was telling the story about, well, this story of course happened during, I think, 1950s. And so the Rebbe asked the man, why do you want your son to leave yeshiva and go to college? He goes, because I want him to be a mensch.
Interesting.
And the Rebbe said, Torah. He says, studying Torah is supposed to make you a mensch. And that's when the Rebbe gave some very constructive criticism to his Hasidim. He said that his Hasidim said, we need to learn, you really have to learn manners. And he mentioned it. He says, you bump into someone, say, excuse me.
Yeah.
He said, say, please, say, thank you. He says, the Torah talks about Hakaras Hatov. And I remember at the time when the Rebbe said this, that there was a problem with that there would be gatherings. I saw one gathering in particular at an airport where a whole group from Crown Heights, of men in particular, were seeing off these 10 families, the Shaluchim. They were going to go to set up a Jewish community in Sfas. I think it was Sfas, 10 families. And they were very happy and they were running to see these families off and to dance and to sing. And as I was about to go into the section of the airport where they were going to see them off, I see this obviously non-religious Jewish woman. I mean, she seemed like she was Jewish, coming out with her family from this area, and she's brushing herself and she goes, oh, they're like animals. They're like animals. And what had happened was these whole group of Hasidic men had just run into this section of the airport and almost mowed people down.
Yeah.
No excuse me, no stepping to the side, none of that. And one of the flight attendants there, as a matter of fact, got very mad at them and yelled at them basically for their rowdiness. So I was teaching 7th grade at Beis Rivka at the time. And I told my 7th grade class at Beis Rivka about this and how upsetting it was to see these people so agitated with the rowdy behavior of these Hasidic men. And we were discussing what the Rebbe said. As a matter of fact, there was one time in Baltimore, I was standing on the sidewalk on Shabbos with some friends of mine, and we were talking, obviously all from people. And it didn't occur to me, there was this non-religious Jewish couple that was walking down on the sidewalk. And we were so busy talking, we didn't even notice them. And the husband yelled at us and said, what's the matter with you people? Can't you get out of the way? And it occurred to me, I said, this man was right. We should have noticed him. We should have moved to the side. So would you believe a couple years later, it was the same couple. And this time I was with almost the same group of friends and we're talking and I see this couple. I saw them coming from distance. And as they come towards us, I called out to my friends. I said, people, let's all move to the side and let this couple by. And we did. We all stood to the side, went onto the grass and we let them by. And the man looked at us and said to us, "Good Shabbos." And I said, "Good Shabbos," back to him, even though he obviously was not religious.
But I think what I find so frustrating is that is very true. And I have had stories like that happen to me. But the observation I've noticed is they can be really rude to Jews and get away with it. You try doing that to some other person, that's not Jewish, and look at what the reaction they're going to give you. And they're going to just yell back at you, and there's going to be a giant fist fight. And I feel like the frustrating thing I have is that like people, this is something that I guess is just a natural subconscious anti-Semitism, I would think, and self-hatred, or just the way the energy people that are Jewish bring down, is that like you can go ahead and beat me and that's fine. How about what's your problem with yelling at me? Imagine it wasn't you he said that to. Imagine it was somebody else, some other people in Crown Heights he said that to. Imagine what would happen to him if he got mad and yelled at them, like he did to you.
You bring up something interesting. I one time on Shabbos, I was cutting through the back of this apartment complex, and this woman, I guess, obviously getting out of the car, she looked, she seemed to be very Jewish, but not religious, and she yelled at me about, "What's the matter with you? Don't you know this is trespassing? Why are you cutting through this property?" So I got irritated with her, and I said, "Lady, you don't have to act so anti-Semitic." And she goes, "I am not anti-Semitic. I'm Jewish." And she was yelling at me. And something occurred to me. What I should have said to her was, "Excuse me, lady, but if I were some 6-foot guy with tattoos, would you be talking like that to me?" And I think the reason that is because they know we're safe.
Yeah.
They know we're not about to get violent.
We're not going to get violent. We're not going to freak out. We're not going to beat you down.
We're easy,
we're an easy target.
Yeah.
Easy target, because you know what? We it's like it's not even in our nature almost to like have a confrontation on that level.
Well, something. Whoops. Ay.
You're good. I can still see you and hear you.
Okay, I'm switching to low power mode. Can we still? Okay, so anyway,
You're fine.
I'll tell you that I think more Jews though are speaking up. I know I'm one of these Jews who I speak up. We had and there was something on Sukkot. I was inside the Sukkah, one Sukkot in Baltimore, and we had some non-Jewish neighbors that were talking about some Jewish people in a very, very, very nasty anti-Semitic way. I came out of the Sukkah. I walked over to them and I said, "You know something?" I said, "There's no reason to talk about Jews like that. We are all God's children."
And what did you say to that?
It was a man.
Well, what did he say to that?
And they said, "Oh, well, they said that they didn't really mean to come off like that, yada yada."
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Your father actually got irritated with me that I came out and spoke to them
Really?
like that. And I said, "Yeah," and I said, "Your father."
That's surprising.
Listen. I said, "I am not about to sit back and let anybody badmouth us as Jews and let them get away with it. I'm sorry, I'm going to speak up."
That's surprising because like that's not what Tati would do. That's kind of odd because I always imagined him a kind of guy. Like I remember driving down the street where it was like Cholamoid. We were coming back from like Sugarloaf Mountain or some Civil War memorial, and this little bratty kids were just chucking rocks at our van, and he told us to get out, and we got out, and he just chased them with the van, and then he stopped, pulled out, ran after them, and the kids freaked out and they started screaming. They're like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And he just like yelled at them and whatnot. So like, that's not, like, there's other stories also with like plenty of other stuff Tati did with like, it was another story that we'll get back on track. It was snowing and it was,
I remember that. I remember that.
Yes. It was snowing and this person parked their car, like double parked their car. And then our neighbor couldn't get through. So Tati was still getting out of his car from work, whatnot, and he told the lady to like back up, back up, let the guy get through. And the lady got really upset and said, "How dare you talk to me? How dare you do anything?" And yelled and screamed at him. And then she said she was gonna get her mother, and her mother comes out and yells and screams at him and then slaps him.
No,
And
oh my
then
gosh.
yes, and he's like, then he got really mad at them, yelled and said a few things, and then told you their license number, expecting you to write it down. You thought it was some secret code that because he used to work for state highway administration. She's like, you asked her when he came up. She's like, what was that? You're like, Tatia's like, that was their license number. There wasn't anything else that was there. And he called the cops, but he didn't press charges in the end. He
Well,
didn't press charges.
they ran. They got in the car and they drove off. I remember.
Yeah, but he got their license number.
Yeah.
So they were able to find them.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember standing right next to him, and the cop was like, you can press charges if you want to. And he's like, you know what? I don't want to. I just want give them a warning and tell them to watch themselves. He's like, he wasn't the kind of person, honestly, no matter how much he had that like gumption. He wasn't the kind of guy that was vindictive, you know? And again, that's just like all the men in my life I've ever been exposed to up until I started going to work and hanging out with people, that weren't Jewish. All the men there, they weren't ever vindictive. They weren't ever like they had tempers for sure. Not gonna lie, I've been around Jewish men that had tempers, but like I don't know. I've never been exposed to it. I'm not saying that it's 100% or it's real or it's just from my experience. That's all I can say. But
No.
back.
I found something. A temper doesn't get you anywhere.
No.
It really doesn't. The few times in my life, not a few times, but when I was younger, I lost my temper a lot, and
Yeah.
it didn't do anything for me. As a matter of fact, it actually was counterproductive. It prevented me from really getting, I guess, like what I want or something like that. I found the few times I lost my temper with people, they just shut me off. They
Yeah.
weren't about to deal with me.
Yeah. I think I remember one time I was kind of frustrated with like seeing all the passiveness in my life. And I was a teenager, so I was just angry anyways. And I had to call some kind of hotline for some information. And the lady was just being absent and just not like letting me get through. So it wasn't even like an impulse. Like I just like decided like I on a conscious level is like, let's see if I get mad at her. Let's see what happens. So I like raised my voice and became a little more irate, and she just hung up on me. And that was like the lesson I learned. Like, okay, it just doesn't work. That's not because in my mind, I'm like, I need to get from point A to point B. What is the quickest, most efficient way? And if having a temper and yelling works, then I will do that. If it doesn't work, then I will stop and do that. Like I'll find another method. Like I was just curious. And like, what was it, I guess, a moment that you kind of regret from a time you lost your temper? And we have like 6 minutes left.
When I hit you kids.
Yeah.
When I got mad and hit you guys. Whenever I got mad and hit you guys, and looking back now, there was a better way that I could have, to deal with it. And also as a teacher, as a piano teacher, when I first started giving piano lessons,
yeah,
I lost my temper a couple times with some students, and I found that it wasn't helping them. They didn't. Oh, Lucas come to join us. They never they didn't come back, and I said, whoops. I said, this is I have to, and try to. I developed a technique where if they were having trouble playing or something, try to help them. Try to find a method to help them to play the notes better, rather than yell or something like that, or put them down or anything, because it's counterproductive. You're not helping them to you're not helping them to play better or to do better by losing your temper. In fact, when you lose your temper with people go into fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
So like no one's able to really solve anything.
Yeah.
At that point.
No, I understand that. I mean, because I guess I definitely used to have a temper back in the day. where it's like it was more of a lack of impulse control more than anything else, and a feeling of reason to exist. Um, and it's also, I guess, being surrounded by people that had their own issues they weren't resolving. Because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like you as an adult that's not around children or teenagers, you think to yourself like, oh, I have a good handle over my emotions, everything is fine. Then you spend time with teenagers and children, and you're like, oh, this is why I was constantly ragey and annoyed, because I had these horrible little human beings, saying and doing these things, and I had no like control over my life. I couldn't just walk away. I couldn't be an adult and be like, well, I'm done with this conversation. I could just walk away and never see you ever again, and life would be fine. Nope. You have to be in the same room with them for 4 hours. Oh, and your time off, you have to be around them as well. Oh, and the other time off where you're not around them, there's other people that are going to be annoying you and going to be like, it's just the whole thing. And like, you really don't find peace until like, I would say 25, because then you're
Yeah,
done
you're
with
right. Yeah.
college, done with everything else. You finally found yourself to a point, and then you can finally start working on living in peace, because up until that point you're in situations you have no control over. And even though nowadays there are moments that you aren't in control, but there are moments that you really aren't in control when you're younger.
There's also something too they found about the human brain, that there's a part of human brain which dictates like judgment and self-control. And as you get older, the part of that brain becomes more developed,
Mm.
especially, towards after 25 and on. I was, reading this article about this. And the sad thing is though, I remember even when I was younger and did have a temper and did get angry easily, I would read these articles by these rabbis that were talking about anger is like a voda zara,
Mm-hmm.
and how getting angry doesn't help to solve the situation, and that being angry is like you saying, well, why isn't this going the way I want it to go?
Yeah.
And that's denying the fact that God is in charge. But you read these articles and you read these things and you read these things and you hear these speeches, and for some reason you can't really inculcate it at that time.
Yep.
It's like it doesn't become part of you. That anger, that angry part of you, that temper part of you, somehow you just can't shake it until, like you say, you get a little older. 25, you get your 30s, 35, and as you get older, you know you do get more of a hold of the situation, because you realize that me being angry is going to be totally counterproductive. It's not going to solve anything. It's better for me to stay calm and to try to work this through,
You
because
also don't
that's going to solve the situation.
I think you also don't care about life as much. I think as a teenager you care about it so much, where it's like every little bit of drama fills your electrolytes. You're talking about this, doing this, and early 20s you're still doing it, but like by the time you hit 30, you're like, maybe just some of my family and close friends. Maybe I don't need to even care about them. Maybe as long as my, Daladamas, like my 6 foot radius, is there, then it's fine. Like I don't need to, like, I could just walk away. Like I think Louis C.K., the comedian, has a bit where he's like, the weird thing I have as an adult, where like you could just like you could rent a car and just walk away from it and just call the company and they'll just pick it up. Like you don't have to do anything, and it's that like realization that you really don't have to do anything at all. Um, all right, so that was a wrap. Ima, I love you very much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful Shabbos.
Thank you,
And
honey. You too.
God willing, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sweetheart. Love you. Mwah.
Bye.